Hello, welcome. This is an English speaking hangout. My name is Chris. I'm from Lesson Jigsaw, and we're here to practice speaking English. So, if you want to speak English, come along, come and join us, and send us a message, and we can have a chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to be hanging out here, and we'll do what I guess what you would normally do if you're just having a chat by yourself, um, just looking at, I guess, news and stuff. Look around uh, and see what's happening in the world. What is happening in the world? I guess that's when we've talked before about what gives us inspiration for talking and chatting and that sort of stuff. Uh, there can uh, there can be many things, but I guess things like the news. If you're in like a cafe or a restaurant or something like that, often we look at a magazine and try and see what's happening in the world. So I'm just going to have a flick around, I think, and see what's news, see what's happening. But if you want to join in, I wonder what I should do. I put the link in. So if anyone does want to join, just got to join or click on the link. So let's say click on hold on, click on this link to practice your speaking skills. I'm gonna say English speaking skills. There you go. So if you want to join, you just got to click on this link. Now I'm not 100% sure about the Wi-Fi connection where I am. It's a bit dicey, I guess we could say. A little bit dicey. Don't know for sure how good it's going to be. But certainly, if you would like to um, come on and join, you can click it and see what happens. We'll keep going as long as the Wi-Fi is going. I don't know how noisy it is. Where I am, there's like a whole bunch of noise from air conditioning and that sort of stuff. But I don't know if that comes through. I think the microphone I have on this thing is sort of what's the word, mediocre, but we'll see. Now we should pick a country. What's a country? I wonder if there's. Um, okay, I found a pick a country wheel. Okay, so let's now hold on. Let me see if I can. Let's bring this in. And then, so the point is that because I'm just talking to myself, I'm just gonna find stuff. So this is pick a country. So we're gonna press start here. See what country it's. Hold on, I should show you. We're gonna pick a country. See what country it comes up with, and then based on that country, we will see what's happening in that country. Maybe it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know how many countries are on this list. What have we got? Japan. Japan is our country. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what's happening with Japan. News. Oh, let's search. What's happening? What's happening in Japan right now? Actually, I know something about what is happening in Japan at the moment because I think it's the springtime or coming into springtime, and they have the cherry blossom festival. Um, I was going to say thing, but they have the cherry blossom festival and time where just I think everywhere in the streets there are cherry blossoms. So I wonder if that's in the news. Now the first result that comes up here is Japan today. So okay. Latest news. Let's see what's latest. Let's see if latest news comes up with anything to do with cherry blossoms. There's a picture. This is much nicer news than I think if you would go on to say most other websites, because you'll get lots of stuff about shootings and financial situations. But here we've got, okay, well, this is more an environmental story, it looks like. Okinawa to cap number of remote island visitors to prevent over-tourism. Okinawa. Now, I assume the pronunciation there is right, but what we can do, this is one thing I like to do, is if we can, so we'll click on that. So we get so what we'll do, we'll click on Okinawa, and we'll come across to I don't know if you ever use this, but let's go over to Uglish. Now we'll chuck on in Okinawa, and we'll see what the result is. And hopefully I've set that right, so it comes through. And we'll see what the pronunciation is. I think it's Okinawa. I think I'm right. Mainly because of Karate Kid. They had Okinawa in there. But let's see if the pronunciation is the same.
About with the old breed at Peleliu and Okinawa, you'll find the spirit of the marine.
Okinawa.
From Okinawa, Japan.
Okinawa. So not Okinawa.
To Sardinia in
Okinawa.
Italy.
Okinawa.
Forces in Okinawa.
Okinawa. Okay.
And as our alliance evolves.
See what James says. So this is terrible connection, I think. This is terrible Wi-Fi. Let's see.
Including Okinawa.
Including Okinawa.
By
okay,
the people.
So I was wrong. It's not Okinawa, it's Okinawa. So, okay, so first lesson for me today, Okinawa. So this is a very good tool, I think. If you want to, well, you can use it in many ways, but if you find a word, now this is a place name, obviously like a city or an area, but if you go and find even just like a general word, you're not sure of the pronunciation, chuck it in something like Uglish. So you have the dictionary pronunciations, and they can be fine as well. I guess the advantage here is that you get to hear it in a context, and let's say real people saying it. So it captures a whole bunch of different YouTube videos, and it gives you the results. So in this case, we can see there's 726 results here for this, 726 results. So, but other words, you have lots and lots more, depending, I guess, I guess in a way how common the word is, but also how many instances you have of that pronunciation on YouTube. That's the other factor. Okay, let's come back to our story. So Okinawa to cap number of remote island visitors to prevent over-tourism. This seems like a nice thing. Now, I immediately like this website, this page, Japan Today, because I can see straight away that there are 6 comments. And I always think it's a great thing if you can, if you're learning English, you want to practice English, if you have an opportunity to speak about it, talk about it, or write about it, is a very, very good thing. So certainly in a real instance, you can obviously read the newspaper text or article, and then you'll have the idea of let's say the professional writing of it. But then when people write their opinions, I guess that sometimes they can have a formal tone, but also sometimes a relaxed tone. So you'll have a combination of both of those. So that's a good thing, I would say. And also you can join in. You could say or give your comments for whatever the topic is. Okay, so I can see there are 6 comments for this story already. So I like the idea, at least, that there are comments rather to the story. To cap, I already know to cap means to limit, and so you can see here we've got the verb to cap, but you also have a cap as a noun. Okay. So let's have a read through this. So a cap of 1,200 or 1,200 visitors per day is to be introduced on an island in Japan's southern prefecture of Okinawa as part of a drive. I guess like an effort or an initiative, a plan to prevent over-tourism disrupting residents' way of life. Well, I think they could imagine if they did that in a lot of places. There'll be, I guess it depends on, because you see some places they're just filled with tourists. It is like a tourist. I know some places in Australia like that as well, where it's just basically it is a tourist city, and it's very different to what's the word? The normal, the normal country, or the rest of the country. Okay, so to disrupting residents' way of life and the local ecosystem, according to the prefectural government. Okay, good. Now, I don't know if we're going to be reading the whole story, but we'll get a touch of the story nonetheless. So starting in April, the Okinawa prefectural government will aim, so April, that's a couple of days away, okay, will aim at the time of recording, a couple of days away. So the government will aim to cap total annual visits to, I don't know the pronunciation here, Iriomote. I'm going to guess Iriomote Island. I know island, but it's Iriomote. So it's hard to capture sometimes, this text. Okay, there we go. So we'll copy that. Let's go back into Uglish. Let's see if we can find this island. Can't find it. It's not there. Here we go.
Northern landmass on the planet, Irimote-jima and Ishigaki-jima, because northern landmass on the planet, Irimote-jima and
Iriomote. Now, okay, so because I searched island, didn't come up because I had that combination. So if I just search the island name just by itself, I can get. There's only one though, so we have to live with that. But Iriomote.
northern landmass on the planet, Irimote-jima and Ishigaki-jima,
because here we got it. We've got a bit of a map here anyway from this video. Okay, but let's see if we can find out as well. So if we jump into our mates at Google Maps, so we've got the island here. Okay, and so okay, interesting. It's amazing how, so this is, it's amazing how countries, when countries have islands, how they spread out on what is a country and what isn't a country, or sorry, part of a country. So obviously very, very close to Taiwan, almost, there's probably the second, what's that, most westerly, the second most western island of the Japanese islands, I dare say. So Okinawa is actually, so I guess Okinawa is this group, oh no, Okinawa's up here. Okinawa's here, Naha, which was where this story was reported from. Okay. So, all right. So, and if we go to, let's go back a step, see if that works. Okay. So, well, this is obviously, it looks very nature oriented in this place. There's no photo there. No photo there. Okay, let's just go back. Let's search again, and let's see some of these images here. These seems to be lots of places in the world where they have really, really blue water, as in that sort of bluey greeny, but as I should say, more not blue water, more like crystal clear water. That's what I meant to say, not blue water, but crystal clear water. And this is one of those places. This does look quite stunning. Look at this. This is in the national park here. Okay, so it's obviously, it must be a very popular place for hikers, I dare say. So hikers and people on canoes and that type of thing. Well, it's already coming up there with snorkeling, trekking, but this is an incredible image there. Okay, so Okinawa and Seiko for some reason. Okay. Anyway, let's come back to this story. Okay, so they want to limit. Where are we? Okay, so second paragraph. So starting in April, so the prefecture, they want to cap the total number of annual visits, so the visits in 1 year, to 330,000 people. 330,000 people. Now, why I'm reading this is because I guess you can yourself think, okay, so when I want to practice English, so one of the things you can do, of course, is to read a text. You can also then, when you've got things like numbers and different points in the story, you could also then prepare questions for yourself. So, for example, when you see the first one, like a cap of 1,200 visitors. So what will the cap be? Or what would the daily cap be of visitors to an island, to Iramote Island? And then you say 1,200, 1,200, and so on. But it's a good exercise to practice not only speaking, reading, comprehension, but also creating your own questions, writing your own answers, and then speaking, of course, about the topic. But let's get back to it. So 330,000 people. Now, the island dubbed the Galapagos of the East. This is interesting. I've heard of a few places where they're calling it the Galapagos of somewhere. I wonder if there's a list of all the places that they're referring to as a Galapagos type country. But obviously, it's a very nature-rich area to be called or noted as a Galapagos type island. So dubbed is called, basically. So they're giving it the name. By local authorities, is popular for its natural beauty and for having a distinctive species of wildcat only found on the island. Okay, so I'm not sure if that's because of that particular species of wildcat. Maybe that's the reason why they're doing it. Because obviously it's a beautiful place from the pictures that we saw. But still. Okay, so the measures, though, will not be compulsory. There's lots of questions there. Will not be compulsory for the time being, with relevant parties only being urged to cooperate. So this is like a voluntary thing. This is like when they have in the banking and the financial industries, when they have a voluntary code of conduct, that sort of stuff. So it's sort of like, oh, please, because you imagine like a lot of these are going to be tourist operators, and so you're going to have to tell the tourist operators, even though they're saying it's for the local people, so they're going to try and tell the tourist operators, hey, try and have less people coming and visit, reduce your income after April. Interesting idea. I wonder if that will work. Before the coronavirus pandemic, the island, which has around 2,400 inhabitants. Okay, interesting. Wow. It's tiny. Was seeing about 300,000 visitors per year. So this has resulted in issues caused by tourism, such as water shortages and traffic accidents involving the endangered Iramote wildcats. Now, I'm only reading what the first 4 paragraphs here. This is very confusing. So they want to limit. There must be details, I'm sure, with some fine journalism coming up to tell us why. So before the pandemic, so 4 years ago, give or take, they had around 300,000 visitors per year, and they want to introduce a cap to save the island from the disadvantages, the negatives of tourism, by having a cap that's higher than what the annual total was previously. Okay, I'm not sure. Like there must be something to how that's going to work, because I would have imagined the cap would have been less. So what I said before about the tourism operators telling them not to, that's obviously not, because they're going to get more anyway. So in fact, they're going to get an extra, what, 2,000? Is that right? 2,000 and a bit per month, 2,500 per month. So, interesting initiative there. But maybe there's more than what we're saying. Well, actually, there's not many more details in here. Okay, so in 2008, the population of the wild cats was estimated to be on a downward trend, with only around 100 living on the island, according to data from the Iramote Wildlife Conservation Center. According to the prefectural government, you will also limit visitor numbers in 5. Oh, okay, so maybe it's just maybe they can come to the island, but they can't go to many places. Maybe that's what it is. So it's 5 natural World Heritage sites, including where there are endangered species. Okay, that makes sense. Controls will vary from 30 to 200 people per day. And the government will also urge them to enter with a guide. There you go. So it reminds me of going to Machu Picchu in Peru, where in theory, it's mainly on the trail though, I guess. On the trail, they're supposed to be limiting the numbers, but certainly to get into Machu Picchu, you're suggested to take a guide with you. Excuse me, let's have a sip of water here. So let's have a look at these comments. Now, to comment here, you will need to log in. So you'll need to register. But okay, so this first person, Phyto, says, I get the strong feeling these limits will be overlooked if a lot of bookings come in during the peak season. I have no doubt. See, I guess the question is how they work the limiting. So during peak season, if they say, oh, okay, we'll have 250,000 during peak season. I'm not sure when or how peak season is. And then when it gets to off-peak season, you can get maybe like 10,000, 20,000 a month, but then just sort of like push above the numbers anyway. But who knows? Now, Mark, I think I just saw. Am I confused? And I think this could be something similar to what I was saying. Mark's saying, what is the worry here? Am I missing something? And I feel I'm missing something too. If the island was seeing 300,000 visitors each year before COVID's arrival, which makes them think it's going to, what makes them think it's going to increase after? Okay, so Mark, okay. Or is this a PR stunt to make the island look more special, so people would rush to buy travel tickets? Okay, so Mark's got a very different angle to me, but this is an interesting idea. So this is like, we have to, with marketing. So you say, limited offer, restricted. Only a certain amount of people can get in or buy this, or only, 2,000 left. Come on, buy it today. So maybe with that limitation, people will go, how do I get to that island? Because there's limited numbers. Question Maybe they won't always talk about the number, but there's a limited number, so you got to book early. Okay. Torah says, one island, ? If they're serious, they would implement some kind of measures to major tourist spots like Kyoto. Once the Chinese are allowed to travel here freely again, it's going to be 2019 all over again. which I'm assuming means lots of visitors, particularly from China, were visiting Kyoto in 2019. It's a difficult balance, particularly with places that rely on tourism. This is the trick, isn't it? I went there once, says Cenobite, I think. They say there are about 16 or 35, I forget, Iramote nekos out there in amongst the green hills and waterfalls. Sounds very poetic. I didn't find them, and for one stretch of road, I didn't see anyone else for about 3 hours. That sounds a bit like Australia sometimes, if you're into the remote sort of country areas. There were crabs and waterfalls and eagles. It's nice the animals get to win occasionally. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. I see now. I just noticed they have this plus and minus thing. So the first comment goes like a neutral, +3, -3. Marks, very negative. Of the 8 people that have given a rating, let's say, 6 have found it not a good suggestion. Lots of neutrality for these comments, but that remark is a +2 and a +1 for this next one from commentator. This is a response. For one, the Okinawa government has no say over how Kyoto City is managed. Yes, I imagine. And for another, Kyoto is a major city, not a small island with a delicate natural ecosystem. Okay, yes, this is a good point. Perhaps that wasn't actually the point of what the other person said, which is not necessarily that it's saying it's not comparing apples with apples, so to speak, but more just saying, we need to protect other places as well. But anyways. And the next one, the final one, says, let the bidding begin. Imagine how expensive it will be to visit during Golden Week. I don't know what Golden Week is, but during Golden Week, a cap on tourism sounds like a good idea, but only if there is a cap on accommodation costs. So it doesn't come a place only for the super rich. I hope that number has a certain percentage set aside for children visiting for academic purposes. This is a very, very nice comment. I like that. Very, very well rounded. Now, this Golden Week, I don't know what Golden Week is. Let's go over here. So Golden Week, when we search Golden Week, it's a week in Japan, a time. So, okay, so let's search for the quick answers. So why do they celebrate Golden Week? This is good for another thing. So if you're thinking, how do I practice writing questions? You also have things like on Google where they have these questions come up. So it's a good way to practice the question structure and formation. So that's a positive as well. But anyway, so it's a week that starts on the 29th of April or April 29, a national holiday that used to be celebrated as the birthday of Emperor Showa. Excuse my pronunciation, who passed away in 1989. Okay, so it's a day to think back of the hardship and recovery of the Showa period and to ponder the future of Japan. Okay, what happens during Golden Week? In 2023, the weekends are placed favorably to create consecutive 5-day holidays. So so when they say Golden Week, maybe it's like 2 weeks, perhaps. What week is Golden Week? This is especially the case when the holidays are part of the long weekend. Expected Golden Week 2023 is from, so the 3rd. So the 3rd of May, which is a Wednesday, to the 5th of May, which is a Friday. But then April the 29th is a Saturday. So although it's not I'm assuming it's that whole week. So maybe Golden Week, they have 3 public holidays, I think is what they're saying here. So you could get the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, but the Saturday is off as well before. So that's the Golden Week, I dare say. What is Golden Week in Asia? Maybe it's okay. So here we go. So it's 4 holidays, a series of okay. This is it. So it's a series of 4 holidays spaced closely together and observed at the end of April and the beginning of May in Japan. So there's Showa Day or Shower Day. There's a little mark above the O, so there's a different pronunciation there. So excuse my incorrect pronunciation. Constitution Day, Greenery Day, and Children's Day. Okay, so that's from the Botanica website, it looks like. Okay, that's fantastic information. What countries celebrate Golden Week? Okay, so there's also a Golden Weekend Day in China, Hong Kong, and Macau as well. But this is another Golden Week. But that Golden Week is in October, so it's a different Golden Week. Obviously, we want the one for Japan. That's the biggest holiday. Is Golden Week busy? Since most Japanese people get time off during this time, there's a desire to go out and celebrate in this week. They'll make the most out of it. Traditionally, Golden Week is very busy, a very busy time in Japan, with most Japanese people taking the opportunity to go on a holiday either locally or internationally. Okay, so that answers this question. The question here is how expensive will it be to visit during Golden Week? And the answer will be very busy, very expensive, because that's going to be the peak or one of the peak periods. So that's just naturally. But I imagine it's the natural level of expensiveness, if that's a word. Okay, so that's an example of this. Now, and of course, then with this article, some nice, beautiful places. So this is obviously an example of this is a relatively short article. So even though I'm sort of waffling on a bit talking about this article, it's relatively short. So this is probably, what's that? Probably even like a 3 or 4 minute read, depending on the pace, but it could perhaps be up to 10 minutes, depending on the vocabulary and that sort of thing, how much you would need to check. So I guess the first thing you would want to do is to check you understand the general idea, and then get to little points. Have a look through there and see if there's any particular words or expressions you want to remember or use. Put it on your vocabulary list and then set the priority. How important is that word for me to remember? And then if it's amongst the highest, or at the top of that priority list, so let's say 2, 3, or 4, something like that words, then tomorrow as such, practice those 4 words as much as you can. Speaking, reading, or speaking and writing particularly. But if you see any places where it's written, because you can do searches on words and expressions. If you're listening, you can use things like we saw with Youglish to search for things. You can listen to different things. And I suppose when you listen and read things that include that particular expression, that then gives you more of an excuse to practice speaking and writing about it. Of course, if you can speak with other people, that's the best option, I guess, the most natural option. But if not, of course, there's always speaking into your smartphone, using the voice recorder and that sort of thing is a good option. Okay. And then, like we said earlier, so then with the story, good idea maybe to get some of the details in the story and see if you can form some questions so you can get some answers from within the story, but then also form some questions so the answers outside of the story, and the person answering, which may be you, has to sort of think a little bit, as we might say, outside of the box or outside of what we can directly see. But that's an option. That's just one example of what you can do. But it does look like I just saw Japan reports over 8,000 new coronavirus cases. Interesting, they're still reporting the coronavirus cases. But yeah, interesting. This is not a good story. 1 dead, 1 missing after Kyoto tour boat with 29 aboard capsizes. Not nice. So traditional wooden boat carrying 29 people on a popular river cruise capsized Tuesday, leaving, so that would have been yesterday, leaving 1 person dead and 1 missing. All 25 passengers aboard were rescued after the incident, which occurred at around 11 a.m. And so the other 4 people, obviously people working on the boat. Okay, so this sounds like one of those punting boats, sort of like maybe you might see in, I guess like you'll see maybe in places like Cambridge and that sort of thing, like where there's very sort of shallowish water, or I guess Venice. When you think of Venice and those like the gondolas, that sort of thing, people pushing them, but obviously the amount of people could be a bit of a difference here compared to a gondola. I think a gondola doesn't have too many people in, I think. But anyway, so a 51-year-old staff member who had been punting the boat died, while another staff member, a man in his 40s, is unaccounted for. Unaccounted for, it's another way of saying he's missing. So they don't know where he is. The police said 2 other staff members who were on board are safe. Okay. So it was a sight, so okay. So I'm just, I guess, flicking through the story. So after 1 of the 4 staff members made a steering error and fell into the water, the boat hit rocks and capsized. All 29 aboard were wearing life jackets. Okay, that would be good. Okay. Interesting. The tours, which attract around 300,000 tourists annually. This is interesting. This is the same number again. This is the same number of people that go to that island that we just saw from that last story. Interesting. But obviously this is 300,000 just for these tours. That's why I guess that commenter was talking about the visitors to Kyoto. I guess Kyoto is a famous place for nature as well. Okay. So the tours take around 90 minutes and are known for scenic vistas that change with the seasons, and particularly around now, like I was mentioning before when we learned we were going to talk about Japan. It's the start of, it's the cherry blossom time. So there would be a lot of people there looking for that. So not good. Wow. In 2001, a tour boat with 19 passengers and 5 crew members aboard capsized about 3 kilometers downstream from the start point, forcing them to swim to safety. So they were okay. And a more recent incident in 2015, the captain of a tour boat carrying about 20 people fell into the same river and died. Why are they dying when they're falling into the river? I don't know. This is okay. Again, so this person saying again in Hokkaido last year, a similar thing. Okay, so this is again where it's interesting how these people are rating these. This is a negative 18. So this person's saying again, almost like a sense of disbelief, putting a link. They say Japan is a country with really strict and high standards. Now with prices going up, they need to make reductions of cost somewhere. And people aren't happy with that comment. It's interesting. So not just the comment, but also people's reaction to that. Okay. but yes, like we were saying before. So this is good then to good to view and to give comments on, and that sort of thing. So yeah. Anyway, that's not a nice story. So not good when we hear about people dying and passing away and that sort of thing. There we go. Man arrested for stealing pizzas from delivery driver's bike. In some ways, I'm surprised that that sort of thing doesn't happen more. In some ways, well, I guess we live in civilized society, so I guess that's the thing. Man indicted in wake of viral video of him licking soy sauce bottle. This is the crime section. So interesting stories. Let's see. Okay, so a real mix of stories here. Okay, so I guess that's basically what's in terms of Japan. That's amongst the ideas of what's happening now. 5 must-see charming spring festivals in Japan. That might be a positive way to finish off the chat today. So spring is undoubtedly one of the best times of the year to travel in Japan, I would imagine. Here we go. After you've got your sakura on, the cherry blossoms, there are plenty of festivals to visit. So it's not just the cherry blossoms. There's lots of other things to see in Japan as well. Of course, you imagine. This is a beautiful thing. Are these moving or are these? I'm not sure if people are moving. Are they floats? I don't know the pronunciation. I'm not going to check on English for this one, but interesting. Wow. I guess that's one of the lovely things, isn't it? When you go to different places, you can get to, experience different festivals, situations, atmospheres. The fire festival. Okay. Okay. Click here to read more. Okay, so this is to another blog. It's an interesting way of doing things for a. So this is a news website, but the link goes to a blog, external link. Gajin pot, I think something like that. Interesting. But anyway, there's a couple of them. So okay, so I think that's where we're going to leave it today. Once again, testing things out, seeing how things go with different streams, different times, different places, and seeing what the connections are like and so forth. Thanks for joining us today. If you're watching on the replay, give us a hello, give us any comments, any of your thoughts about what's happening in Japan, and just generally if you've got any questions about English language learning, practice, speaking, all that sort of stuff. And if you want to get in contact with us, you'll see our email down the bottom there, chatonlessonjigsaw@gmail.com. So have a great rest of the day. I'm going to catch you later, sign off, and I will see you the next time. Take care. Bye.